Ole Miss will face a tough test from the Kentucky Wildcats. I have no doubts about that. But how tough will it be? We'll bring in Vinny Hardy from the Believe in Kentucky Wildcats podcast to talk all about it.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We're going to bring in Vinny Hardy in just a second from the Believe in Kentucky Wildcats podcast. Thank you, though, for making Locked On Ole Miss your first listen every day, and please give us a like, subscribe, and comment on your way out. Check out a second listen on the network as well. Nearly every team, college and pro, is available for you. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Just like there's more to every player, more dedication, more attention to detail, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Stay tuned to later in the episode for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move, and be moved. Vinny, I am really excited about this matchup because I've been living with the game that happened in Oxford, Mississippi last year for 365 years. I need this to be over. On paper, Ole Miss should steamroll this game. They should absolutely do it. But if you look at the last three games they've played, it's been 3 points, 1 point. It's one of those things. I'm not necessarily concerned about this game, but I am a little nervous about it.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest, we were due to finally get one. And the game, not last year, the game before in Oxford, allegedly we had a legal procedure on Dane Key, or else we might have had that one, but it was, like you said, it was a nail biter. And if Kentucky cleans some things up, I think it should be that again. That's just what they do, Steve. That's just how we do when we get together, man.
Yeah, Mark Stoops is definitely, he's the fan of the rock fight. And I think that Mark Stoops was a horrible matchup for Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's a wonderful quarterback, but Mark Stoops was his kryptonite at Ole Miss. And that is because Jackson Dart wanted to throw the ball downfield. He had Trey Harris. All of that played into Mark Stoops' hands. And if you don't score quickly enough, all of a sudden you start reaching for a 14-point touchdown. You panic a little bit. Kentucky makes freaking miracle plays on a 4th and 13 and a fumble into the end zone. And then you find yourself on the outside of the playoff looking in.
Man, that's what really sticks in your craw, because it's like the NCAA tournament, they pull up the bad loss on your resume. That's exactly what that was for you guys. We went 1-7 in the SEC. That was
we call it Ole Miss and 7. That's the way we refer to it.
And we were 2-2 coming into that game. Leave Oxford 3-2, finish 4-8. So it was just a train wreck after leaving the Grove, honestly. So but you're right about styles making fights. That's what this is. It's a classic styles make fights. Stoops loves that 10-7, 17-14. He can stay there all day. And of course, Ole Miss and Lane, they want to just light it up and score at will. And like you mentioned, if Kentucky starts fast, slowly, which is what they want to do, they want to play slow, but they can't get down 21-0, which usually happens against Tennessee every time. It's you blink and it's over. Stay in it, drag it out, muck it up, bore you to death, and that just the team that wants to go. They can't stand it, and you can just see teams like that getting antsy.
Yeah, and the good news for Ole Miss fans in this case is Austin Simmons is more like Matt Corral passing the ball than he is Jackson Dart. He's not somebody that's going to throw it down the field. He's going to dink and dunk. He's going to be able to move the chains. He's going to be able to read the defense. And if you remember that 2020 game that was also a close game back when Ole Miss didn't have a defense, Matt Corral in that game was 24-29 for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns. So Lane Kiffin can go against a Mark Stoops defense. That can work, but you can't play into their hands. And I think Jackson Dart did that with a little bit of the duck and chuck. Trey Harris had 175 yards receiving last year. Ole Miss had 240 yards passing.
Yeah.
And 40 of it was on a fourth down heave at the very end where you were desperately trying to get into field goal range. It was literally Trey Harris or nothing last year.
Exactly. And maybe it's a good sign for y'all because Austin Simmons is on fine bomb as we speak. So I don't know. Maybe that's something in the cards for you guys. But yeah, he is a different look for Kentucky. And they'll have to adjust to him and try to do the same things they have to kind of, slow him down and muck it up with him like they did with Dart. So that'll be the challenge for Brad White and company.
Yeah, the benefit that Kentucky has is you do not want to play Austin Simmons at the end of the season. He kind of has a little bit of DJ Lagway to his game, to where you want to get him early because this is his first road start. Yeah. Heck, it will be his first road start until Ole Miss plays Georgia in the middle of October. The only one. It's 5 out of 6 games at home to start with, and it's just Kentucky on the road. But in the first scrimmage for Austin Simmons this year, he had a problem with interceptions. In the first half of the game against Georgia State, first quarter, 2 interceptions. So he generally is a little bit wobbly to start with. He gets better as he goes, but if Kentucky's defense does not get up on Ole Miss, if they do not get a lead early in the game and allow Ole Miss to get going, it looks like this Ole Miss team is going to get better as the game goes on.
It's that classic, I don't know, I think we're both Braves fans, that classic Greg Maddux. You better give him the first inning, because if not, it's a 78-pitch, 59-minute game, and everybody's going to the house.
Detroit Tigers.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I get for assuming. You know what happens when you assume.
Hey, whenever the Tigers spring training home is 15 minutes from my back door, it just makes a little bit of sense.
Hey, Scuba is a stud. Scuba is a stud too, man. Y'all looking good.
Yeah, I saw him pitch in Tampa last year against the Rays, and it was like a professional pitcher going up against high school kids. It was like unbelievable. I'm like, what is going on? It's great. But yeah, nobody wants to hear about this. Anyway, when we come back, we'll get into the players to watch with Vinny Hardy of the Believe in Kentucky Wildcats podcast. Anyway. Hey, Locked On Ole Miss fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code. It's very creative, so write this down, football, and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought this was too good to be true, but it is totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out at any time. You can go to your bank account, PayPal, or even do an e-gift card at Amazon or other brands. So don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app today, using my limited time promo code football for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code football. Offers may vary by user and location. Go to the upside.com website for more information in terms and conditions. And this is Mazda's Moving the Game Forward, brought to you by those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. Because these moments do more than win. They push what's possible. They remind us to go that extra yard, shift into that extra gear, and keep moving the game forward. The energy at the Ole Miss Georgia State game was absolutely fantastic. And the moment that everybody keeps coming back to in that game is Kewan Lacey's 42-yard touchdown. It opened up the throttle on that game and led to an Ole Miss dominating win over the Georgia State Panthers. That is what keeps fans and players alike moving forward, always chasing the next great moment. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is the only beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move, and be moved. So, Vinny, I did a crossover. It was up about an hour ago. Talk a little bit about what Dante Dowdle brings to your team. He's a Picayune kid. He's somebody that Ole Miss recruited really hard, or he ended up at Oregon before he went to Nebraska. Talk about Dante Dowdle and what Kentucky likes to do with him and how they probably plan on using him.
A lot of physicality, which was missing last year across the board, up front and in the backfield. Chip Tranum from Ohio State was supposed to be that, pounded power back last year. He never was healthy. Dante brings that this year, and he also has the ability to break away. He popped a 79-yard run at the end of the game against Toledo last Saturday. So he has the ability to do inside, outside, but he can, get out in open space, and some DBs are gonna have to get on their horse to bring him down. So like you mentioned with Trey Harris, his numbers had kind of inflated. He was the offense last year. Well, Kentucky ran for 220 plus against Toledo, but that 79-yarder did kind of inflate it. It was a bit of a struggle leading up to that. So, depending on how you want to look at it. But he does bring the ability to beat a hammer and also have some breakaway speed, which would be nice to see Saturday against Ole Miss.
Yeah, and Kentucky right now has potentially a quarterback problem. It's a little bit early in the season to say that, but going 10 of 23 against Toledo, that's a rough look for Zach Calzada, the Texas A&M, Auburn, and incarnate word legend, Zach Calzada.
Yeah, you gotta do better than that, man.
Is there a chance that he gets pulled in this game for the backup?
I mean, it could. If it goes disastrous, I could see it. Keep thinking that he's supposed to be the guy and all this experience. You got Eastern Michigan coming next. Surely he can make it through Ole Miss and then maybe play both guys if you're blowing out Eastern Michigan in a perfect world. But I've been saying no matter what happens across the gamut, great, terrible, these coaches have to be ready to handle anything. And in my opinion, how they handle this determines the season. This makes or breaks how they go. I mean, if they make a mistake and pull a guy too soon, they leave Zach in too long. If they bobble this, no pressure, but it really is on them. The O-line and then the coaching staff handling this potential quarterback controversy with Cutter Boley, who's kind of waiting in the wings. He's a young guy, but he's been in the system longer than Zach. He's been in, Bush Handham system for a second year. Zach just coming in from the transfer portal. So it's a weird kind of flip-flop from that standpoint.
It'll be interesting to see exactly how they handle that. You mentioned O-line. Is there an O-line issue with this team? What's going on there?
Well, last year, if you saw us at all last year, it was glaring. From the South Carolina game on, Brock Vandegrift ran for his life every game. Dude was so beat up at the end of the year, he retired from football. He played behind a line that allowed 35 sacks last year. They got off to a good start this year against Toledo. Of course, that is, Toledo. You're going to get a big step up with Ole Miss. Didn't give up any sacks, no pre-snap issues. But all eyes of Big Blue Nation on Eric Wolford and that O-line, because it's going to get a lot of scrutiny because they have to improve. They retooled it. Jagger Burton is from Lexington, been there forever, but they brought in a ton of other guys. Shiaz Peak, a humongous left tackle. Jalen Farmer is still there, but they revamped the whole entire offensive line. A lot more size, a lot more physicality, but they have to hold up. They can't be as sieve they were last year. So, yeah, it was an issue last year, and everybody is looking to see if Wolford can get that thing corrected.
Okay. And going over to the other side of the ball, obviously, Mark Stoops, you can't have a rock fight, which he likes to do, unless the defense is actually really performing. You lost defensive linemen playing for the Buffalo Bills right now, cornerbacks in the league as well. Tell me about the defense for the Kentucky Wildcats.
Going to have to lean on the secondary, which no doubt Lane is going to test it to see what it's made of. That's where the veterans are. You mentioned Deion Walker going to the Bills. Dave Gusta transfers in from Washington State. built completely different. Dion was huge, like 6'7", 340, but could move. Gusta's a shorter, stockier, twitchier type guy. Going to be watching him. Sam Green, linebacker from Marshall. The depth on the linebacker front is kind of thin. David Rayner is 6'1", about 217. Can he hold up against the grind of the tough SEC? So until the defense kind of gets solidified up front, on the back end is where they're going to have to, kind of guide them through it, kind of carry these guys until everybody up front kind of establishes themselves.
Which is weird. That's kind of a buzzword here. And if they're young up front, that means there could be some run stopping issues. They did a pretty good job against Toledo, though, didn't they?
Yeah, and some of it is not as much as young, is new as well, because it was 50 guys brought in from the transfer portal, which after you go 4-8, you really got to about clean house across the board, which is what he did. He mentioned that SEC media days, and some of it is some experience, but it's just experienced guys in new places. Gusta's been around, and some of these other guys have been around and played a lot of football, but not here and not in this system, and so they're trying to work it all out together.
All right. So if Kentucky wins this game, they obviously created a rock fight, and it's a low scoring game with what's going on. Dante Dowdle obviously is going to be a big part of that, and probably playing a clean game. Am I in the right ballpark there?
Yeah, because you mentioned the issues in the passing game. That is, of course, a point of emphasis going into Ole Miss. They got to pass for more than 85 yards. Dowdle, Seth McGowan, who started his career at Oklahoma, most recently he was at New Mexico State. He's the, quote, lightning in the backfield, but he can run inside as well. He's 6'1", about 215. Those two guys are going to be the bell cows. Outside of the O-line being an issue, receivers been an issue because nobody has really separated themselves. There's so many oars on the depth chart at receiver. Macklin has been there, but still kind of waiting for him to step up. Kendrick Law from Alabama, still kind of waiting to see what he can do. So receivers stepping up and just saying, I'm going to be that dude. Calzada clicking to take some pressure off the running game. You got show a pulse in the passing game. We got to have that Saturday and to have that balance, because if not, y'all are just going to dare us, load the box.
You're just going to put 9 in the box and let's go. Yeah.
All day long. So we're going to have to loosen you up. And then if we don't show a pulse offensively, then your defense is out there all day, and then there goes the rock fight because y'all are up and down the field, and then it becomes an Ole Miss type of game as opposed Lane Kiffin type of game as opposed to a Mark Stoops Kentucky slowdown game. Y'all are running 95 plays, and then it might get ugly.
Yeah, this is one of those weird games that recently Mark Stoops has had Lane Kiffin's number, just had his number defensively on there. But if Lane can assert his will for the style of play, it can look like it did in Fayetteville last year, where Ole Miss put 63 points on the board and was completely explosive, and it could be 17-15. It could be anywhere in between that. This is the weirdest game. I told somebody the other day, I'm not concerned about this game because Ole Miss should win this game. I am nervous as heck because of what happened a year ago.
Yeah. And I can see how y'all feel that way, man. Just because y'all had no worries. I'm assuming if I'm putting words in your mouth, let me know. Going into last year, tailgating at the Grove. Oh, we got Kentucky. They're 2-2. No worries. And then I'm sure middle of the third quarter, y'all like, what is it's 10-7? What is going on? I'm sure that's when it was setting in and Vaught Hemingway. What is happening out here?
Yeah, absolutely nuts. Anyway, when we come back, we will do predictions and pass to victory with Vinny Hardy from Locked On Kentucky Wildcats. But first, I do want to let you know, it's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday on DoorDash streaks, saving more money every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Ole Miss, Austin Simmons delivered in a big way. His quick decision-making led to a touchdown by Daquan Wright. We talked about Kewan Lacey a little bit early. Austin Simmons came through when the pressure was on. No hesitation, no delay. And if you're a ball knower, this performance wasn't a fluke. Austin Simmons is looking to start a streak. And just like Austin Simmons delivered for the Ole Miss Rebels, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credit. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period is through 11/18. Vinny, let's talk about paths to victory. Like we talked earlier about what Kentucky would need to do to pull off a victory. They need this game to be completely ugly and Ole Miss to play probably a couple of notches below where they normally are.
Yeah, and in a perfect world, that from Kentucky's standpoint, that's what pretty much has to happen. You mentioned that not worried about this game, but not concerned.
Not
kind
concerned,
of nervous.
but I'm nervous. Yeah.
And on the flip side, I hope I'm wrong, but the best I could see Kentucky going was 5-7, which means you beat your 3 cupcakes, and you got to find 2 more somewhere. Based on the track record with Ole Miss, you like the way they match up. The schedule is brutal, but we saw what happened last year. We've seen what's happened in the past. I mean, DK had to moss a wide receiver a few years ago for y'all to win that one. Moss a DB rather. So we get the newness, the inexperience of Simmons' first road test in the SEC. That kind of plays in our favor. If you get the crowd rattled up, you get, Brad White trying to confuse him. We get a turnover or a fumble, a scoop and score, something of that nature. We'd have to have that, I think, early. And we got a good field goal kicker, which, Stoops loves that kind of game anyway, field position. I'm thinking 23-20 Kentucky. It'll be ugly, and I'm not going to be
Did you go 23 points for Kentucky?
Yeah, 3 field goals, a scoop and score, and 1 offensive touchdown.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's 14-9. Yeah, that gets us to 23.
I think it's going to be a little bit of ugly game because Mark Stoops is very good at that. I did it, like I said, I gave my prediction on the previous one. I think Ole Miss is going to win the game 24-10, and by that they're going to get off to a quick start. Kentucky's going to have to play from behind, and whenever you do that, that would be problematic. I do think that there's a better chance if Ole Miss jumps on this game, a 2-touchdown lead goes to 4 touchdowns, than Kentucky coming back at that point. I think there is a path to completely blow out this game, but just until whenever you look at the history and the Mark Stoops and the Lane Kiffin stuff, I think it's going to be a low-scoring rock fight.
And they're going to have to show us, Kentucky, that they can play from behind at some point when they get behind. They had the lead all last Saturday, not really built for that anyway. And then if it comes to that, well, can you dig out of a hole? And much to the, like you said, Stoops' slow style kind of dictating. When we look at Kentucky basketball, Pope likes to play fast and shoot 33s, and there are teams that just want to slow you down, and the slower style usually wins out.
Yeah, that's one of the things with defense. Chris Beard, he wants to play a little bit of defense. It's going to be whichever coach is able to basically put his will on the game, because Ole Miss wants to go fast, Stoops wants to go slow. All of the intangibles being in Lexington are in Stoops' favor, but I think this is an important thing, and this is a real thing. The fans up there are, I'm just going to say, apathetic at the moment about football. They're waiting for something bad to happen. The worst thing that you can do is give up a 4th down stop to where they get the ball back in a turnover on downs. Kick your field goals. If you just end every possession on a kick, you're probably going to win this game.
Yeah, because the whole, will this football team keep our interest up to Big Blue Madness? That's a real question. I mean, because the excitement when year 2 of Mark Pope, people can hardly wait already. You got Travis Perry comes back to Lexington. He's a Kentucky kid, so we got that to look forward to. So everybody's already chomping at the bit. Can football keep us occupied and interested and invested and all those things Saturday in and Saturday out up until the middle of October, November? Will people still be watching, or will it just be, like you said, will that apathy bus really kick in when you're 1-4 and season's over with? So it's up to them. Yeah. They said all the right things all summer, refocused and locking in and businesslike and all the stuff you like to hear, but now it's time to show and prove.
And Saturday is going to be a weird game because it can go probably one or two ways for Ole Miss. Either you're really locked in, you're really intense, and you win you come out with your hair on fire against a team that went 1-7 in the SEC a year ago, or you kind of overdo it and the pressure gets to you a little bit. There is a little bit in this game. I do think Kentucky has a little bit of an intangible that they can play if it is a close game. If Ole Miss jumps out on it, it's not going to matter at all. But if it's a close game, 13-10 in the third quarter, I think there is a little bit of an intangible for Kentucky to play.
Yeah, because then all the pressure is on y'all again. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the tendency to overthink it or want it too much to where you're
the gossamer, the Bugs Bunny gossamer.
Yeah.
I love you and squeeze you and call you George. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. And I thought that might happen, with Brian Kelly and LSU. All this, we're putting the Clemson logo in the weight room and we're going to win an opener. I thought they're really kind of putting too much into it, but it worked out for them. So it can work out to where you're so focused and so determined that you actually succeed, or you can put too much into it and get in your own head and mess yourself up. So, one or the other is going to happen.
All right, what do you got going on over at the Believe in Kentucky Wildcats podcast?
Cole Park and I host it each and every week. We'll do a little recap episode with Toledo. We got a special guest coming on this evening. His name is Steve Willis. We're going to talk a little Kentucky Ole Miss, a little crossover for this coming weekend's game. But Believe Podcast Network, Believe.com. Check us out there. All things UK right there each and every week. Believe in Kentucky.
All right, Vinny, I look forward to being on your show, and you have a good time. And thanks for coming on, bub.
Hey, thanks so much, Steve. Appreciate you having me.
All right, thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it's completely free. Your support means the world to us. It's another big moment for us on Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV, they are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. I'm on this week's episode. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 and leads the conversation, two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, and former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch the College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody, and remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.